You're listening to 1015 KOCI LPFM Newport Beach, Costa Mesa. Welcome to Sunday Brunch, underwritten by Classic Yacht Excursions and on the web at classicyachtexcursions.com. And now, the hosts of Sunday Brunch, Tom Johnson and Lynn Selich.
Knows I'm not a TV guy, so anyway.
So we're going to segue to our next guest.
Okay.
And let's see here. We've got a couple minutes for the break. So let's go ahead and bring on our next guest, who is Chef Bill Bracken. And many of you may know him from, well, most recently, the Dive Bar. I don't know if you ever went there, but he's got quite an interesting and successful career as a chef in Los Angeles and Orange County. Bill, are you there?
Hey, Bill.
Hi, how are you?
Great. Nice of you to join us this Sunday afternoon.
It's good to hear your voice. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Lynn and Tom. It's great to be with you.
Bill, what are you up to these days?
All sorts of fun things. Mainly just working on Bracken's Kitchen.
Very good.
So we're going to talk about that, but for our listeners who didn't get to meet you when you opened Dive Bar, you were, let's see, at the Four Seasons, correct?
Four Seasons years ago, then now known as the Island Hotel, Newport Beach.
Correct. And then you left. How long were you with the Island? Are you there?
Yeah, hello. I'm sorry. I had a hard time hearing you.
That's
I was at
okay.
the Island for
All right.
6 years. When I was there during the transition, I'd come from Beverly Hills, and I'd been for the last 12 years, and joined in the fun of making the transition from a long-time Four Seasons to the Island Hotel.
And you were Chef of the Year as chosen by the California Restaurant Writers Association. That's got to be pretty cool.
Correct. Yeah, it was a surprise and a blessing and an honor. So, I mean, whenever you get recognized for your hard work, it is always feels good, and it's quite a blessing.
So what we're going to talk about today is Bracken's Kitchen and this new concept that you have. Tell us first. I got in touch with you because I read the Randy story, and that's what kind of struck me as very poignant. Tell us about Randy's story and how it led into creating Bracken's Kitchen.
Well, it was it's a time in my life where my wife and I were going through a lot of changes, and we had a child, and my third child, and my wife decided to make the hard decision. We made the hard decision for her to stay home, so she could raise our young son. And
an important decision.
We had to make some adjustments.
Sure.
Able to do that, and through that process, we just started noticing this gentleman who was regularly at the local Starbucks. It's a long story. I don't want to go into it much, but it really had a heck of an impact on me. While I've done a lot of work, fundraising and stuff for a lot of local nonprofits, all about hunger relief, whether it's Share Our Strength, Costa Mesa, Share Ourselves in Costa Mesa, or Share Our Strength, the large organization. I mean, this really hit home when we saw this gentleman and lots.
So I'll summarize for our listeners. Essentially, the story goes that Bill, over kind of a period of time of visiting the local Starbucks, noticed this, good-looking, put-together guy. Looked like he was, doing some work, like any Starbucks that any of us walk into. Everybody's sitting there at their laptops. I mean, I do it, you do it, And over time, he kind of began to notice that this guy wasn't really drinking coffee so much anymore. He was drinking water, and his appearance was looking a little more disheveled over this period of time. And it became readily evident that he was looking for a job and not having a whole lot of success. And believe me, I have had friends, young and old, who have master's degrees, who have, over the course of this bad economic period, had a real hard time finding a job, or were underemployed. And so Bill just happened to notice this, and Bill, take it from there. So that touched you, and you realized that really this whole situation that this young man was going through really was pretty close to just about everybody that we look around and see on a daily basis. And so you decided to develop Bracken's Kitchen. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, just to finish Randy's story, it really really hit home when I realized the man was clearly unemployed. And, eventually, to watch a man over the course of days, weeks, and months literally deteriorate in front of you. And, like you, Lynn, we've all had friends who have been affected by the economy over the last 4 or 5 years.
Bet.
One good friend who stands out who lost his job, drove a Lexus. Everybody thought he was great, didn't know, in good shape, know that the Lexus was given to him by his uncle, didn't know of his struggles. A lot of people struggle silently, and their pride stands in the way. And when I actually was one who lost my job a few years ago, and I was blessed, have been blessed, landed on a dive bar. I mentioned earlier that senses I've gone on beyond that, but I never really had to struggle like so many people do, and seeing that firsthand really hit me, and that's where Bracken's Kitchen was kind of born. And I originally loved the idea of John Bon Jovi and his nonprofit. You may not be aware of it. It's called Soul Foundation, and they got a kitchen called Soul Kitchen in Red Hook, New Jersey, that has no prices on the menu. Can't pay, we'll put you to work, help you clean up or do something. So it really is a great model. Panera Bread has something called Panera Cares, which is 4 or 5 restaurants with the same concept, no prices on the menu, pay what you can. And if you can't pay, that's fine, we'll still feed you. But all those organizations are in communities and cities that have something that Southern California doesn't have, and that's mass transportation.
Mm-hmm.
And it just really hit me. I just actually got back from D.C. last week where I was consulting, and riding on the metro there just really drove home the point that that I hoping and praying that this concept will work, because people in need, people who are struggling to pay their bills, spend $4 a gallon for gas to drive across Orange County to get some help. It's kind of counterproductive to their financial situation.
Right. Access is a big part of the equation.
The thought of opening a restaurant or kitchen with no prices on the menu like these other organizations, really, I just kept hitting that roadblock over and over again. Well, how do people get there? They don't have a car, they ride a bus, how difficult it is. So that's where we came up with the concept of, using a food truck. Food trucks are wildly popular, so we founded Bracken's Kitchen, just recently got 501c3 status, and we're really out there just, working the plan to get our first food truck on the road. And, we want to liaise with churches and other organizations where we can not only feed them, but feed them with dignity, and pride, because, during this real quickly, I don't want to take too much time, but during all this process and the research, I walked into another really well-known, successful nonprofit in Orange County, Costa Mesa, called Someone Cares Soup Kitchen.
Yeah, with their
and they
good
do
friends.
a great job over there, and they've been there for years. But I watched a young lady who was, very attractive young lady, well put together, walk in. I thought she was coming to volunteer. Then I realized she had her daughter with her, and next thing I know, she's in line, and I realized, she was there because she needed help. You see her on the street, you wouldn't necessarily realize that, and it really hit me that this economy has really affected people in all categories, and the face of hunger has changed over the years. So, we want to do something where it can be fun, where it can be, a non-degrading. We don't want to pull up a truck on the corner and hand food out. We want to liaise with a church or someplace where we can set up tables and chairs and just make it a fun evening when we feed them.
So walk me through it, because it's not just, is it just going to be for people in need, or let's say I love your food. I'm a big fan. So let's say I love your cheeseburgers, and I know there's no prices, but I want to come over, I want to have a cheeseburger, and I just give you $20 for the cheeseburger because I want to support the cause. Is that going to be something that's going to be available, or
absolutely?
How's it going to look?
We're trying to work out the details. Our ultimate goal would become self-funding and self-sustainable, that the truck will be out on the road several days of the week selling, with all proceeds going back into the nonprofit. So we may be out doing my mac and cheese one day this week, or we may be having different sandwiches and things. So we really want to take advantage, and that's why we chose the food truck, because we're not going to feed people 7 days a week from the food truck, people in need. We will pick the days of the week and locations that will feed people who are in need, and the other days of the week we want to be out there. And hopefully, whether we end up doing even some catering, hopefully there will be a heck of a motivation beyond getting a great meal off of a food truck, which is always fun these days. There's also money spent on something that's going back to help the difference. It won't be going into profits of some company. It'll be going into the Bracken's Kitchen nonprofit.
Bill, you're one of a unique group of people that Len and I have noticed since we started doing this show. And, I'm on your website right now, which is brackenskitchen.com. And it's you say it very well on there. You say, please be patient with our site while we're busy in the kitchen. And I know it's under development and things like that, so you have a limited number of things on there, including the kind of a pencil sketch of Bracken's Kitchen as a food truck that will go out, and then an opportunity to lend a hand. But when I say you're a part of a unique group of people, Len and I have been fortunate on this show to have people that have come on and are serving similar types of the community, where they go out and they'll take a group of computers out into the community where people can contact that might not have access to computers. They can contact their family and let them know they're okay. Mm-hmm. There's others that go out and assist with the cleanliness and let them brush their teeth and get clean and things like that. And so you're a unique breed of people that have risen to the top of their profession and now are taking the opportunity to give back. So I commend you on that. And what's the besides Bracken's Kitchen, it seems like there's a lot of other opportunities to follow you through Facebook and LinkedIn and stuff. Kind of bring us up to date on those.
Well, we're being a startup nonprofit, obviously finance are always a challenge in the nonprofit world. So we're trying to, we got a lot of friends and supporters. And just to comment on what you said, Tom, I mean, there's, unfortunately in the world, you pick up the newspaper, you hear the news, you put on the, hear nothing but negative and terrible things that happen in the world. And, this world is full of a lot of really, really good people that care and want to make a difference, and, we don't focus on that enough. So I appreciate you pointing that out, because there's so much good in the world that, we tend to not look at because we're all wrapped up in everything else. But, we got a lot of friends and supporters that are helping us. Websites being developed from a friend from church. They've been helping us. But, the social media, we got friends and supporters working on that. It's a Twitter page, Pinterest we just started. But, the Facebook page, Instagram. So, we're slowly getting out there. I've spent a lot of time at I got to say this just real quickly, if you don't mind, because this is something that's really struck me. I was one of those individuals that for years would help from afar. I see a homeless guy or whatever, I don't know a story, typical thoughts of so many people in their mind, how they ended up there, their own terrible decisions in life and whatever. And, I'll give them some money, but I don't want to be near it. And I've, over the last year, I've spent an enormous amount of time volunteering at the Village of Hope in Tustin, part of the Orange County Rescue Mission. I've gotten to know so many people, and to hear their stories, how they ended up where they ended up, so many of them by no fault of their own. One girl that stood out in my mind was Jessica, who was old, and her mom and dad got a divorce, and she ended up on the street. 14-year-old girl on the streets of L.A. What is she going to do, Mm-hmm. And, we think the worst of people sometimes, unfortunately, when we see them on the street begging for food. And to learn some of the stories of how they ended up there is so heartbreaking and so sad, and how could you not want to help make a difference? So I'm sorry that maybe it was a little bit more than your question.
No,
not at
I think
all,
that's great.
not at all. That's what the show's about.
Yeah, and I think the, what I want to remind the people is if you follow Bill and you follow Bracken's Kitchen, I mean, it's really going to be something unique because, as Lynn said, this food truck will go around. Now, you're not talking about, your old-fashioned food truck that goes out and serves, the cheap types of foods. Food trucks have changed, and Bracken's Kitchen would be a place where a world-class chef who has a tremendous history, Bill Bracken, in, he was the first person to offer small bite offerings in L.A.
Well, I was going to say, he's got the best mac and cheese I've ever tasted.
Mac and cheese, that's what he became famous for.
Right.
And he's also been the executive chef at the Island Hotel. He's worked at places around the world. He spent some time in Santa Barbara at some of the top restaurants there and things like that. So this is a food truck that's going to pull up, and like you said, Lynn, so eloquently, is somebody can walk up and spend $20 on a $10 item.
Because there's no prices.
There's no prices,
right?
and the money goes to help the truck, and yet somebody else can show up and not be embarrassed and have the same meal for free to $2 because that's all they can afford. So, Bill, it sounds like you're on a great venture in front of you, and we wish you the best of luck, and we'd love to catch up with you down the road and find out how the progress is going.
No, we'll have the truck at one of our remotes.
Yeah, okay.
That'd be fun.
We'll keep you posted for sure, and we'll get the truck out there. I'm blessed to be able to be on your show and be able to talk about it and people hear about it. I'm emotional here because it's just so near and dear to our heart, you know.
So go to brackenskitchen.com. You
And
can check it out there.
Bracken, right?
That
Yep.
Bracken kitchen.com.
Right. I just
Put an S on Bracken, bracken.com.
Yes. Bill, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your Sunday.